What's up, everybody? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com, host of the Sports Card Strategy Show. Welcome to Lefty Cards right here on the NoOffSeason.com Sports Card Network, discussing the latest trends, best practices, and insider tips on sports card investing. This episode is brought to you by NoOffSeason.com, the number one place to make money flipping sports cards. Get a free 30-day trial today at NoOffSeason.com. And now, everybody, it's time for Lefty Cards.
What's up? Lefty Cards episode 7. Man, we got a full slate today. I am happy to be with my longtime friend Colby Olson as he comes on the show today. And of course, we got Krim from Texas Roadshow, Tyler Chase Krim on the mic again. We've got some beef this week. We've got beef because Krim's team and my team are locked in a ridiculously fun playoff series where the refs are letting them play. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Luka Doncic are going at it. And it's a fun series. It's been a fun watch. I do hope that my boys are not in Cancun next week, like Krim told me earlier. But I am hoping for I think this is just more to come for the NBA at large. We are seeing a lot of the young NBA teams that are up and coming and exciting in the playoffs this year. And, you know, obviously it's been stated a million times on a lot of different social media platforms or even media platforms, big brands platforms, but the old heads are out of the playoffs. They're out. And so these young dudes are just grinding for a championship. And I mean, it's probably going to be the Celtics if I had to bet. But I don't know. Speaking of Celtics, my Boston friend, Colby Olson, are you in actually Boston right now?
No, man, I'm in Hoboken, New Jersey, right outside New York City.
All right, well, fair. I know you are a Celtics fan, though. So how are you feeling right now?
I feel good, man, especially after we, went right through the Cavs in Game 3. Tonight, Donovan Mitchell's out in Game 4. I'm feeling good. I think the team I would be most scared of right now to play in the finals is still the Nuggets. The T-Wolves were getting a lot of hype there, and then that vanished really, really quickly. But I think the Celtics are the team to beat still. Got to get KP back, though. Porzingis being out is tough.
Yeah, Porzingis is a big part of that team, but they're my favorites to win it. I think they're the most developed out of these young teams. You know, Tatum's been here before. I think he's got a little bit – or he's got a lot to prove, personally. I'm not sold on him being the superstar that everybody thinks he is. And I've been on record on podcasts saying that I'm a sell for him. But I do think he has the most exposure to a playoff setting outside of Doncic because he has done it. He's done it overseas. But, I mean, obviously Luka. I mean, not Luka. Jokic has done it, and that Nuggets team has done well in the playoffs. Do they have the juice to get all the way to the end is the question. Krim, do you have anything you want to say here before we get into our regular show?
Just want to say go Mavs first off, up 2-1 on your Thunder. I will say I'll give you some props because one of the I guess two. One was more recent, but one of the more recent guys you've been preaching about in basketball has been Tyrese Halliburton. And he's now 2 games away from the Eastern Conference Finals. So, tooting your own horn, Tyrese. And the guy before that was Shai. So, you're onto something.
Let's go.
Last year you had Tatum before, was that 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago I had Tatum. Last year I had Maxey.
So, listen to Kendall about basketball.
There we go.
He knows what he's talking about.
4 on my 4 calls of basketball. Of course, I've picked budding superstars. It's not like I'm picking, dudes on the very end of the bench or something to come in and be explosive players. But watch primarily is what we are going to focus on today because my man Colby is back for another yearly episode that I do with him where we dive deep into Fangraphs and just the statistical brain that Colby has and how he just is a big old numbers dude. And we dive into making smart decisions for investing based on what we're seeing from baseball prospects primarily, and how that ends up making us good money. We've done that 3 years in a row now. Indy was the first year. I believe the second year was, well, Indy might have been Indy was a long play, so that might have been 2 years. And then we made a bunch of money on Colby Mayo, or we're about to make a bunch of money on Kobe Mayo, excuse me. And I believe we're going to find somebody today that I, again, am going to purchase on the show like we did last year, where I found a $30 Kobe Mayo auto and bought it. So, Colby, you're a numbers guy. What are you looking forward to tonight?
I mean, I just kind of want to gloss over Kobe Mayo for a second, man,
Come
because
on, got to.
Kobe Mayo's been going off this year. 22 years old in AAA. He has a 145 WRC plus. He's striking out a good amount, 27% K rate. Doesn't really matter though. He's walking enough, hitting for a ton of power. 323 ISO, 13 bombs. That's just a recipe for success. And he's knocking on the door of the big leagues. The problem is the Orioles just have too many guys that are also playing well, but I would have to imagine that Kobe Mayo is going to be up soon. And Aram and Jack actually just had him on the call up. So
yeah, I saw that.
If you guys want to go check that out, we had him on 6 days ago. So a good in-depth look with him. He's got a ton of confidence, man. I think that's what sets him apart too, is he just knows that he's going to dominate. He wants to face the best guys, and that's just something that an intangible that you can't really like see from Fangraphs always. And that's one of the hard things collecting too, right? Is these 18, 19-year-olds, you don't really have much access to them. So
yeah, it's a great time for us to up Just Baseball here. JustBaseball.com, where Colby comes from, got the hat on tonight. Aram Jack was just mentioned as well. I am a former Just Baseball guy. I'd like to call myself Just Baseball Legacy. Maybe have my jersey retired in the rafters someday. But what I will say is Just Baseball is the best place to find prospect analysis. They cover all spectrums of baseball news and media, from betting to prospects to MILB, MLB, college baseball. Am I forgetting anything, Colby?
I don't think so. A little fantasy coverage, but I mean, as it relates to today's show, the call up and the prospect coverage that Aram and Jack are doing, definitely give them a follow on Twitter. Jack McMullen, Aram Layton, and then definitely go check out the call up. Something cool, something new that Aram is doing every week is doing a top MILB prospects of the week video on YouTube. So you just kind of can stay in the know on who's hot and what prospects, are worth monitoring, which in the collectible space, you want to be on top of all of that because things can change really, really quickly and you can be in before guys blow up, Yeah,
absolutely. Aram has made my job really easily. Just like following him, picking up Bowman Chrome first of guys that he's in on, and then I'm in on, and then all of a sudden we are financially both doing great when it comes to selling their cards at the call up. So the call up, great podcast. Love what Aram's doing. Again, a great friend of mine. Just a class fellow who does his job really, really well. And I literally got, like, there are big names out there that you think of when you think prospecting and prospect analysis, and Aram needs to be in that upper echelon of respect. Like, he has what it takes to see. His eye test is really good, and he's just really good at breaking it down as well for the average consumer. So definitely a team that I am rooting for often, and a team that I'm glad to be a part of. So Colby, love having you on the show, man. Miss talking to you more regularly. I'm glad we get to catch up a little bit today over this podcast and have a little fun. Another thing I want to say is the Mamba mentality of Kobe Mayo is what I see. Like, you know what I'm talking about with the Mamba mentality of, like, nobody was going to beat Kobe. Nobody, and Kobe Bryant, that is. And Kobe Mayo has that same thing. And I did not make the name connection. That was not a pun intended. But what I will say here is I see that edge from him that you're talking about, Colby, where he is not ready to ever be beaten. And on that call-up episode, I believe it's Jack talking to him about, like, you almost faced Skeens in that call-up special game, Orioles Pirates. I forget exactly what it was. I think it was it the one that they broadcasted in the preseason?
Spring breakout.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So the spring breakout game, and Kobe didn't get to face him, and he was frustrated about it because he wanted to be able to put himself up against the biggest test in the minor leagues at that point, which was Paul Skeens, who we've seen had not his greatest command in his call up the other day and still struck out 7. Like, ridiculous. Guy is one of the only pitchers that I've seen his card values just skyrocket over the past couple of weeks. So Krim could probably speak more to how he's seeing Skeens move in shops and at shows. But man, I've just loved what we've been able to see in the early MLB season, and I love. Man, we really should have thought about bringing on Colby Olson to talk about Kobe Mayo, and then I threw in Kobe Bryant. We've got issues here, so let's just quickly talk about that. Krim, we're going to be at the Dallas show May 16th through the 20th, which is this week, my friend.
Yes.
I will be with you in the Dallas show, recording live shows with the Sports Card Strategy Show and Lefty Cards from the Dallas Card Show in the Texas Roadshow booth with the Krim brothers. So I'm very excited about that. I just want to know, Krim, are you looking to sell? Are you looking to buy? I know you're always looking to do both of those things, but what are you looking forward to specifically?
Honestly, with the Dallas show, the thing I look most forward to is just that, like, majority, probably like 90% of dealers like come to the Dallas show from around the country. So just like the friendships I've made in the hobby, like, you get to see everyone you know at the Dallas show. So that's what I look forward to. And then also it's like, if you bring cards and you have good prices, like at the Dallas show, you won't have any trouble selling anything. Just because there's so many people in the building there for 3 days with the sole purpose of buying. So selling's usually pretty easy at the Dallas show. Buying's getting tougher and tougher. But that's where it's important to you give people deals and they'll give you deals in return. So
yeah, there you go. One of the best booths at the Dallas Card Show. Definitely, if you guys are in the area, go check out the Dallas Card Show. Come see us. We will be at, once again, the Texas Roadshow booth and with the Krim brothers at the Dallas Card Show, May 16th through the 20th. And while we're there, let's go ahead and cut to our first commercial break and hear from Paul.
What's up, everyone? I'm Paul Hickey with NoOffSeason.com. Why should you subscribe to NoOffSeason.com's premium membership? Do you like the content on this show? Want more? Well, a free 30-day trial membership at NoOffSeason.com gives you a Friday edition of the Sports Card Strategy Show called The Overflow Show. It's a premium podcast for members only every Friday, and you can ask an unlimited amount of questions to build your sports card investment portfolio, and I answer them for you. I put in the work, research, and do the analysis, give you the best possible answer so you can increase your chances of making money flipping sports cards. And if that's not enough reason to sign up for a free 30-day trial today, you get Sports Card School, tons of premium members-only articles, and our new formula-based sports card rankings to help you find the cards with the best ROI to make money in the hobby. Sign up today at NoOffSeason.com.
Thanks, Paul. And as we're coming back, he just spoke about the formula. Last week, we had Paul on the show, and he talked a lot about the formula, and he gave props to how Colby and I talked about our quote-unquote formula, as we have talked about this in previous years, and specifically how we worked in the collectibles department at Just Baseball together and how we would find good prospects and how it's like, it's just it's so many things put together that find these diamonds in the rough, but there are cool and productive ways to do that, and very simple ways that can be done by just anyone. I love having Colby on the show because he's able to walk through all these things, and we're going to actually walk through this live and potentially buy another prospect on the show tonight that I could potentially double or triple X, like I'm going to do with Kobe Mayo in a year's time. So I just want to give you a minute, Colby, to go completely nerd. And what do you love when you look at prospects? What are the key areas Now we're not on the fan tracks yet, so like in a minute you'll be able to actually click and walk me through all that. But like, what do you look for?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, there's a lot of variables to look at when you're trying to break down what's going to make a prospect successful at the next level. And there's not a one size fits all way to do that. But there's a few really good indicators that we can look at from publicly available data too. That's a struggle too. We don't have exit velocity data for most of these prospects at the lower levels. Some people do, and you can scour Twitter and look for that, Aram being one of them, right? So if you're looking for some added stuff like that, you kind of got to go look at Aram's Twitter and whatnot. But if you're just on Fangraphs, there are ways that you can kind of figure out, okay, this guy is going to be at least advanced through the minor league levels and could have a really good chance at being a major leaguer one day. First and foremost, I look at K rate and walk rate. Super simple. If you're the best way to be a good hitter in baseball is strike out as a few amount of times as you can, walk a lot, and hit for power, right? You're putting the ball in play with force, and when you're not getting strikes, you're not swinging at them and you're getting on base that way. That would be the perfect hitter. If you never struck out, you hit for power when you got good pitches, and when you didn't get good pitches, you got on first base. That's literally Ohtani. That's Judge. That's the best hitters in baseball.
Which is OPS, correct?
I
mean, essentially that's walk.
WRC
OBP
plus OPS,
slugging, correct?
some variation of combining those. Yeah, WRC plus is my go-to. But basically, the way I judge power at the minor league level is a stat called isolated power, which only values doubles, triples, and home runs. So throws singles out of the way. And, that's not a perfect science, right? There is a value to putting the ball in play and hitting singles, but that's kind of identified in the K rate and also in a stat like BABIP, where guys that hit more line drives are going to have higher BABIPs too. So you can usually tell guys that are hitting the ball hard, hitting line drives, will have higher BABIPs. So that's definitely a predictor for that. And then you can get even deeper than that once
which BABIP
kind of
BABIP is batting average versus ball in play, correct?
Batting average on balls in play. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just kind of a top level, what I look for. Another thing though, is I'm not just chasing guys that are striking out at, 10% of the time, because there are good hitters that are striking out 25% of the time. Like we mentioned, Kobe Mayo, 28% strikeout rate in AAA. Gunnar Henderson at the big league level, striking out close to 30% of the time. He's one of the best players in baseball, might win an MVP this year. So it can be done. You just have to walk as well and hit for a ton of power if you're going to strike out at a high level.
So what's the percentage that you look for?
I mean,
we all kind of have our rough percentages. That's where our guys, or that's where our guys need to be under. Where are you at?
For sure. I mean, I think a simple way to do it is you can look at walk per strikeout. So anybody that has a walk per strikeout rate of 0.5, so you're walking half the amount of times that you're striking out, that would be a pretty elite level. A walk per strikeout rate of 0.4 would be pretty solid. But in percentage terms, say you're striking out 25% of the time, I would expect somebody striking out 25% of the time to at least be walking close to 10%, at least. Yeah. So towards that 0.5 level.
So it's not just about K percentage for you.
No, it's not just about K percentage. But guys that don't strike out are the perfect hitter. Like I said, doesn't strike out.
Yeah.
Hits for a ton of power. Something else to look at though, beyond that, Kendall, is looking at ground ball rates, fly ball rates, and line drive rates. Because if a guy's hitting the ball on the ground too much, we can expect that he's not going to tap into that power.
I love it when you talk about ground ball rates, man. I love it when you talk about ground ball rates, man, because when we would have our staff text, Colby would be going off about some hitter that's that's just talking about how he's not getting any leverage on the ball. He's just super ground ball heavy. And it would be a guy that I can't think of the actual occasion, but it happened times where people would be high on this player and then Colby would be like, nah, he's ground ball rate, dude. Like it's eventually going to flop.
I can give you two good examples.
Let's hear it. Yes.
One being Christian Yelich, because
Okay.
Christian Yelich back in 2019 when he hit 48 bombs or whatever it was, I don't know if it was that many. His average launch angle, fly ball rate was the highest of his career. He has a ton of power. Then in in previous years, he keeps hitting more ground balls. You're not going to be as successful doing that. The other example is Eric Hosmer. Same thing. It's like
Good
he was
old Eric.
he couldn't.
I was hoping he would go off on him.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to be listening to this, but he's got a pretty entertaining Twitter account lately. He's gotten on Twitter. He has a new podcast, and he's definitely he has a different outlook on baseball than I do. Let's just say that.
No, that's fair. Well, before we get any further, Janelle has asked, what does WRC Plus stand for?
Yeah, so WRC Plus stands for Weighted Runs Created Plus. So it weights everything
English,
that
please.
goes into creating runs on the baseball field. So that means that it has a weighted value for a single, it has a weighted value for a double, a weighted value for a triple, a home run, a walk, and so on and so forth. It doesn't weight stolen bases. But yeah, basically.
So I think one of my favorite parts about WRC Plus, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it puts an equal ballpark on it.
It also does adjust for era and adjusts for the ballpark that you're playing. And so a guy that's playing at Fenway or Coors will have to really out-hit somebody that's hitting in a pitcher's park like Petco Park. Exactly.
Yeah, which I think with baseball, one of the most unique things about baseball for people that are just starting, like for me, I don't even really notice it. But like when I talk to my friends who don't really watch baseball, they start watching baseball with me and they're like, why is every park different? That seems so weird. Well, it's not weird for me or probably for Colby or for Krim, but it's just like that is a unique thing about baseball is the dimensions of each park are different. They're just, Boston looks so different than I don't know.
Like I'll give you a good example. So like I always get like an Instagram reel and it's like our kids will never believe that like Minute Maid used to have a pole in the middle of center field with like a hill, like a pole in play, like
a pole and a hill in the middle of the ballpark. And then the Polo Grounds obviously like didn't even have a fence in the middle. It's crazy, but of course that's totally different than it is in modern baseball. But WRC Plus does put a park factor in on the weighted runs calculated. So, or C, what does it stand for? Weighted runs
created,
not calculated.
Yep.
And then is that like the same where it's like if it's 100 is a league average?
100 is league average, so it's very easy to see. And basically, if you go up to 101 WRC Plus or a 110 WRC Plus, a 110 WRC Plus would indicate that you are creating runs at a 10% higher rate than 100
than average,
than league average, right? So it's a very easy way to see like, is this guy really good or is he below average? So it's very, very simple.
And WRC Plus does wait for their individual level as well, right?
Like it's a good question.
AA, AAA numbers.
I believe it does. I believe it compares them to guys at their level.
Yeah, I think I remember it being that they do level comparisons as well. So a guy that's like in a perfect scenario, if a guy is 19 at AAA or something and he's 3 years younger than everybody, but he's got 250 WRC Plus, he's crushing. Like not only is he crushing AAA ball, but he's crushing AAA ball at a super young age.
I don't know if it normalizes for age. It definitely just compares them to
I was
other
just
guys.
saying at level. Yeah. I'm
at
just
the
saying
level.
if he's that young at that
sure.
increased age, like that's impressive because he's seeing professional level pitching at that point. AA being the first big pitching level, from what I understand.
Another thing to be wary of, though, when you're looking at walk rates specifically at the lower levels. So I'm talking like complex DSL. I'm talking rookie ball, like A ball, and even at high A.
Yeah,
you'll definitely see some inflated walk rates sometimes because the pitchers down there are not as seasoned and are walking more guys. So
they're throwing fuzz, but it's all over the
exactly. It's a little easier to walk down there than it is at AA and AAA. But that's just something that you kind of gotta see through, and the K percentage I would definitely weight higher.
Sure. Well, all this basically, the point of all this statistical talk and all of the different categories that we've been talking about with Colby here is when you can use sites like Fangraphs. And Colby, can you share your computer? I know you got that nice fancy Fangraphs, and mine might potentially tank my entire browser.
Yes.
So,
Wow, you're
As we
really
had
putting me
issues
on the
with
spot here.
2 weeks
it's all
ago.
good, bro. We're just chilling. I mean, there's only 27 people watching. It'll be all right.
Okay. Well, I actually have some names. If you even just wanted to, it'll be easy. I'm telling you, it'll be easier for me if you share. I have a
Okay,
bunch
I'm
of
just
stuff
saying,
written
if
down.
our browser crashes,
Me,
We'll be
mine and
back.
Kendall's browsers kept crashing 2 weeks ago when we pulled up Fangraphs.
If
so-
it crashes, I'll take over.
okay.
But I assume Kendall has like 10 tabs of stuff he's going to talk about, and he probably doesn't want to lose those.
No, that's
tabs.
okay. We
Okay.
can do this. We can
Do
do
you
this.
guys pay for Fangraphs by chance?
We don't.
No.
Maybe it shouldn't be like there is no paywall. We're going to crash your computer.
Right,
then.
right.
All right. So, I'll share my screen and we'll see if how far we get.
Sweet. Let's
see.
do it. Because I was going through. I have some names written down.
All right, Fangraphs. I just want to start here by saying this is the site that I use and Colby uses the majority of the time. Like I don't really go anywhere else for data consumption other than maybe Arm's Twitter account. So it's like
For prospect, for sure.
yeah. So Fangraphs is a great resource and it's free. Sometimes it does crash your browser, but there's just so much data in there. That's probably why it's like the server is just like a mega load for my computer. It's my fan on my fan on my computer is already like, so here we go. All right. So just walking through your process like we just started. Walk us through it.
Yeah, sounds good, man. So you go over to prospects. You can just click on the board, like at the top, the first thing right below, the first drop down. Yeah,
The board.
Yeah, that won't bring you to where you need to go, but you need to go over. Nope, stay there. MILB leaderboards, all the way on the right, top right there. Yep. It's a little weird to get to, but easy enough.
No, I'm not paying for premium.
Click X.
$60 for the year. It's not bad.
I know.
That's all it takes.
Honestly, I could make that profit with Kobe Mayo. So maybe Kobe Mayo is going to buy me a Fangraphs subscription.
Yeah, if you look at your screen time and you go, "Oh, I've spent 10 hours on Fangraphs in the last week," maybe you should buy it for $60.
Fair.
Sure. So then you can go to if you scroll down, Kendall, and just show them like this is literally every hitter in the minor leagues. How many pages are there? 35 pages.
Yeah, 35 pages, and it's sorted by average right now. So obviously, this guy has had 21 at bats. He's hitting 524.
Dude, Jacob Wilson is crushing right now.
Yeah, he is.
Everyone has like 5 at bats except for or has like 20 at bats except for Jacob Wilson.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually is doing some things that I was not expecting, but we'll get to Jacob Wilson in a little bit.
So if you scroll up again, we're gonna put some stat filters in so that we can filter out people that
this
don't
is
have
the
enough
gold, everyone. This
experiences.
is the gold.
We can
Colby,
filter
quick
by stats that we
question.
want to search for. So you see the stat filters, you can go there, Kendall.
Colby,
just go to
does your
stat
stat filter
filters.
let you filter age? Because anytime I try to do it, it won't let me do age.
Yeah, it'll let you do age. So you go to
Okay.
stat filters, Kendall. You see it?
Stat filters. Okay.
Right above the ad.
Right here. Yes.
Yep. So you can go to age. I would do less than 23.
Or maybe it's level that doesn't work right for me.
So 23, and then you press apply. Okay. Go back to it. You can do at bats. So you can do 100 at bats. Yep, right there. You got it. Greater than. Make sure. Then go back. You can do, so it has walk rate, it has K rate, it has BB per K.
Can you put
have
level
ISO
above
on there.
complex?
I mean, you can. None of the guys that are in the complex or DSL are going to have 100 plate appearance or 100 at bats yet because that just started. So it'll weed those guys out.
Okay. What's
yeah. So we can go a couple different ways with this. I mean, Kendall, if you want to start, you can do BB per K and set it at 0.4, greater than 0.4. You're good. So that would mean, yeah,
They're walking
at a
at least-
20% K rate, you'd have a 8% walk rate.
Come on, dude.
So it's
Love
pretty
the-
refined.
Love the way your brain works.
Yep. And then you go down to ISO. So that's going to be our power number. And you know, league average ISO at the major league level, I believe, is like 150, 160. For prospects, if they're not striking out a lot, I'm cool with anything around 170 to 180. So you can set it at 180 because we're looking for some outliers here.
Okay.
0.18, sorry. Yeah, you got it. Okay. And then scroll down. This should be pretty. It'll weed down because I don't think anybody that has this level of plate discipline plus power profile will have a WRC plus below 100. And if they do, they're getting really unlucky. So if you scroll down,
there's nothing you would add here?
No. I mean, if you scroll down, you'll see we only have like probably 35 guys. If you go to page 2, I'm sure
we have 33
results. So
very last
really weeds it down. Oh, go to advanced, by the way, Kendall. Yep. So that'll show you WRC plus, average, on base percentage, OPS, K rate, all that good stuff. So sort by WRC plus. If you just click WRC plus, yep. Perfect.
There's our Hendrik Penango. Haven't heard him in a while.
Penango, yeah. He's been at high A for 4 years now.
Which is crazy. He's old for that age, but he's tearing it up. What are they doing?
Tearing it up. Absolutely tearing it up. And so this was a guy that I actually went and looked up his cards before the show because I was really curious. And right now, you can get his Bowman Chrome first base auto for less than $10, and you can get a PSA 10 for $30. So a really, really bottom barrel guy.
All right.
He's been at high A for a long time. There's a ton of risk here, but he's not striking out. He's walking a ton. He's hitting for a ton of power. He definitely hits the ball hard. So if you're looking for the lottery ticket of lottery tickets, it's not the worst purchase.
Okay. So $30 PSA 10, that's very achievable. Like, I don't think there's much of a floor downside from that, honestly. Like, he's going to have to, I mean, obviously you're losing $30, but if you're buying a PSA 10 of a Chrome auto, $30 is about as cheap as it's going to get.
Yep.
All right. So talk to me about this guy, Agustin Ramirez. You know anything about this dude?
I know nothing about that dude.
I believe he was just in the most recent Bowman release.
Like this Bowman 24?
Yes.
Cool. If you could look up an eBay comp on him while me and Colby like talk about that would be awesome. But he's clearly walking at a 16.8% rate, 18.3% K percentage. Walks to K at 0.9, so that's good. 259, probably I would want that average a little higher, especially because he's 22 in AA. But is there a way to just pull up his stats without foregoing everything here?
Yeah.
Open in a new tab, I guess. But
yeah, you can open it in a new tab. I have it up on mine as well. But
okay.
Go for it.
Last auto sale was $34.
$34 raw,
yeah. And then $95 for a refractor.
Okay, so under $100 for a refractor auto of a guy who's New York Yankees. Yankees are always going to have good pricing. So even he's under $100 for a refractor base auto, and he's logging a 176 level WRC plus at AA. This is his second go around at AA. But he's had about as many plate appearances as he had at his 21-year-old age. So he's about to be, he's pretty much right at his AA exposure from last year and doing a heck of a lot better. So what do you see here? Break down this for me. What do you see here that's potentially, is it all good, Colby, or is there some things you don't like?
For the most part, it seems all good. You can see the average is low and the batting average on balls in play is low. The batting average on balls in play could be really low because he's hit 11 home runs in 29 games, and home runs are not balls in play. So that'll definitely drive that down. And a 343 ISO is ridiculous. So this seems like a great profile. I think something that I wanted to talk about, and we could talk about it now because this is a good segue, is Yankees prospects in Bowman 2024. Because I was looking and George Lombard, who was their top draft pick last year, his first is in Bowman 2024. A base auto, not graded, just base auto, raw, is going for $100. And he's 19 in A ball. Yes, he has a 129 WRC plus, but he's striking out at a 26% rate with no power, 60% ground ball rate, and an 047 ISO. So to me, that's very concerning that there's no power and he's striking out a decent amount. Yeah, he's taking advantage by walking at a 25% clip. But remember what I was saying about A ball. It's very easy to walk down there. It's not going to be as easy to walk once you get to AA. And guys are not going to be walking you. They're going to be attacking you. And they're going to say, hey, if you're not going to put anything in play with a lot of power, then I'm not scared of you. So for $100, it seems ridiculous. But another Yankee card in this set is Jared Cerna, who's in high A. He's a 22-year-old. 14% K rate, 13% walk rate, a 207 ISO. Base auto is $25. So wow. I think that if you're a Yankees fan watching this and you want to collect Yankees, and I think collecting Yankees is great because Yankees fans are very tuned into the market. It's a very collectible team. But George Lombard seems very inflated, and I would much rather collect Ramirez or Cerna.
Yeah, I think I'm down on Lombard as well. I see him on almost every post that I see about Bowman 24. And when guys are looking for who they're looking for Lombard. I'm like, man, there's better guys out there. And that's proven to be the case many times when I'm like, hey, there's better guys out there. Usually those guys over the next couple of years fall hard in price regression. So we talked about Bowman Chrome a couple weeks ago where we saw some Dodgers fall from grace hard. You pulled a DePaula one time, and he's actually not doing as well as he was previously, but he's not terrible from what I remember. And DePaula's prices are incredibly lower than they were at the time you pulled the auto. So, that's just another example. But Mad Cards from Twitch has a question for you. Probably a good time to segue this as well. Besides Jenkins and Cruz, who are the next three in the new release we like? But before you answer that, Colby, we're going to go to our next commercial.
Kendall, are these people ready to start grading their sports cards? CGC Cards is... Kendall, are these people ready to start grading their sports cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading. Yo, Lefty, we use a lot of data, don't we? Well, I just want everyone to know that they can get the same data we get by signing up at marketmoversapp.com. Sign up at marketmoversapp.com today, but use the promo code NOOFFSEASON to save 20% after a free 14-day trial. That's marketmoversapp.com, promo code NOOFFSEASON.
Yeah, awesome. Like our CGC ad right there is probably going to come up in the next place because it didn't run for some reason. But the Market Movers ad there is a good timing because Market Movers with Fangraphs will make you dangerous. It'll make you dangerous in the card market, and that's what we want to be. We want to be buying steals. We want to be way ahead of other people. For instance, we are way ahead of Kobe Mayo, and we need to be way ahead of the next guy. So let's go back to the question that we had earlier from Mad Card 72. Colby, besides Jenkins and Cruz, who are the next three in this new release we like? Teal, Namala, stuff like that. I have talked previously about how Teal is one of my guys that I really like in this set because he's come out of nowhere for Boston, honestly. I know you're a Red Sox fan, and if I'm pulling this correctly, I just had a freak out of maybe I'm talking about the wrong player. Surely I'm talking about the right player.
Yeah, I was good. I don't know. I mean, he definitely didn't come out of nowhere. He was pegged as a top 8 pick in last year's MLB draft, and he fell somehow to the Red Sox at 15, was it? Something like that. I don't know if it was 12,
14.
14. Okay. yeah, I mean, he was projected to be a top 10 pick and he fell to the Red Sox. And I'm very thankful for that because it seems like he's going to be up at the big league level by next year at the latest. And so far this year, he's doing a great job. He's in Double-A as a 22-year-old. He has a 122 WRC plus. He's striking out a good amount, 29% strikeout rate, but he's mixing in a ton of walks, 13% walk rate. He's hitting the ball hard with authority. A 147 ISO certainly isn't bad. He looks the part. My one question to you, Kendall, as I definitely, I like looking at the data and everything, but I'm not as tuned into the card market as you are. And
Yeah,
catchers have historically been a weird thing to collect in the hobby, and especially a college catcher that was just drafted last year. He's probably going to get to the big leagues pretty fast. I'm worried that the hype really isn't there on Teal, especially as a catcher. So I'm just kind of curious what your take on that is.
Yeah, we talk about runway a lot in what we do here because some guys you'll see prospect fatigue with giant runways. We've seen that with Henry Ford as a catcher, who is a really athletic. Not Henry Ford.
Harry Ford.
Harry Ford.
He
Henry
created
Ford.
the assembly line.
Dang it. Okay. That's what I was afraid of with this Kyle Teal talk. I thought I was talking about something else. I actually did say the right name. You were just like, oh no, he didn't come out of nowhere. I think he came out of nowhere because he was not a highly touted prospect from what I thought. It was a safe pick by the Red Sox when it came out. I was like, you went with Kyle Teal when there were other guys on the board that could have been there, but they have proved me wrong. He has never dropped underneath 122 WRC plus at any level. And we know it's the complex, so we don't like it there. But he's 21 at the complex league. He still had 246 WRC plus. Like, that's against averages in the complex league. So he crushed that. Crushed the next level. Crushed the next levels. Crushing it again. I love to see Kyle Teal coming up pretty soon in a Red Sox jersey. What I do like, and Krim, if you'll look up values on Teal right now, that would be helpful. But what I do like about Teal is he's able to come into a team that's branded really well. Like, we don't have to worry about him coming up in an A's uniform. We don't have to have him, it's not Shea Langoliers here or another catcher or Soderstrom, really. There was another catcher that was highly touted that their card market was a little wonky. Henry Davis was a Pirate. Is still a little wonky. Some of those guys that I've named, from Ford, Davis, Soderstrom, Langoliers, those are catchers that were marketed. Even Indy was a catcher, really, in his card profile. And so we have seen some players that have broken out of the catcher profile and made good money, but it all depends on how low can you get in, and is the card hype there from the 24 Bowman already. And Krim, when you have those prices, just hit me with them so we can kind of.
So I sell on his base autos are like 115 to 120. He also has a red auto that sold for $2K.
Wow.
Damn.
Okay, so he's already pretty high.
Yeah.
With the new release, it's like,
it's a new release. There's always money flowing into the top shelf of these guys. I wasn't expecting it to be that high, so I would say do not invest in that card because he's probably not going to be worth a raw 115 when he's just a catcher in the American League East.
Yeah. Can I go on a little rant here for a minute about the current state of Bowman Chrome and the new release? Because it's out of control. It's out of control. You have Bowman 2024 prices. Dylan Cruz is not even playing that well right now.
No.
33% K rate in Double-A at 22 years old. A little concerning. I think he hits the ball really hard. He's still figuring things out. His raw base auto is going for $300. Then you go over to Walker Jenkins, the other top chase in this release. He has not played a game. He's played one game this year. He hurt his hamstring. He hasn't played a game since. Obviously, tools are off the charts. Going into the draft, like, everybody's talking up Walker Jenkins, and I have no reason to not believe that. RM absolutely loves him. But still, he has not played a game this year, and his raw base auto is going for $260.
He also had an orange sell for $7K.
7K.
Both of them.
For an orange silver. Crazy. Then you're just telling me Kyle Teal is going for $115 raw. Well, if you go back to what we were looking at before,
yeah,
Kendall, you don't have to go there.
We'll go there.
James Wood is a top 5 prospect in baseball. He's a AAA. He is likely going to debut at some point this year. He has a 167 WRC plus at AAA as a 21-year-old. Yes, he is in the same organization as Dylan Cruz. He is ranked higher as a prospect than Dylan Cruz. He is younger than Dylan Cruz, and he's playing better. He has a 20% K rate, a 15% walk rate, and a 235 ISO. Good for a 167 WRC plus. Now, he's struggling against lefties. That's the one thing that they're going to work on, and that's why he's still down at AAA. But guess what his raw base auto goes for? $100 to $125.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Come on, Colby. I love that. I am so on James Wood as well. Like I know it's impossible not to be on James Wood because like he's not a sleeper agent, like this isn't a situation where everyone's like, oh man, I got to go Google James Wood and figure out who he is. Everyone knows who he is, but he's still underappreciated. This dude is hitting the ball so hard.
I don't get it.
I was able to buy a refractor PSA 10 for incredibly cheap earlier this year. And so I got into a PSA 10. So let me just tell you this trade I made. It was a raw, not gemmable holiday base auto, and a PSA 10 of who was it? Xavier Isaac. It was just a base PSA 10 Xavier Isaac auto. I traded both of those for a refractor PSA 10 James Wood. And I was like, I mean, the value I gave up actually a little bit less value than it was worth at the time. And I was like, this is going to be such a better play in the long term because James Wood is going to crush. Yep. And at the most, even if every single one of them gems, there's 499 of them. How many base autos of Xavier Isaac are there? A ton. So I loved the play, loved acquiring a refractor auto of James Wood.
I just think I just almost don't think it's worth buying Bowman 2024 right now.
No.
And yeah, if you want to rip, it's so fun to rip when the new product comes out and just have fun with it. I think that's like the way to go. But to invest a ton of money in these guys that, the question was asked, like, who do you like beyond Cruz and Jenkins? And I went deep dive into this set, and it's like a lot of these guys are in the DSL or the complex still. Maybe they're in high A or rookie ball still. And it's just really hard to get a judge on, are these guys going to be anything? And a lot of them have concerns. Like a lot of them are striking out a lot of them aren't showing power if they are not striking out. So it's just really, really hard to recommend people go buy a Yoelin Cespedes for $55 when there's just a lot of unknown about him.
Yeah, I think I typically do. If the player has a very short runway, which is Janelle Shu just asked, would you typically buying your prospects a year or so out? I think this is where I want to go after the next commercial break. But I think unless the prospect has a super short runway to the majors when they hit their new release,
like Wyatt.
Yeah, like Wyatt Langford for exactly. We were buying Wyatt Langford as soon as the product dropped because we were able to make $100 plus on his raw autos from when the time that we bought in the week that the premiere came out. We bought $250 autos of him, which is crazy that you can get $275 for Walker or for
Cruz and Jenkins.
Jenkins when you're $250 at Wyatt Langford and he's in the bigs. Well, I mean, not right now. He's literally on the IL and has actually kind of struggled with the bigs. But we're going to avoid that conversation for now, saying that the runway is really important. So let's go to our next commercial break, and then we do want to talk about that. And Colby is going to talk to us about a rookie auto that he found for 99 cents. We'll be right back.
Kendall, are these people ready to start grading their sports cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. Kendall, are these people ready to start grading? Lefty, we say that breaking is not necessarily a sports card strategy, but there's a lot of great things going on Whatnot other than breaking. Lefty, we say that breaking is not necessarily a sports card strategy.
Okay, maybe we're not. Maybe we're not going to go to commercial break.
Hey, Lefty, did you know?
Did you know CGC is great for cards, and they are very clear slabs and great for trading cards and sports cards alike. We would love for you to go out and find a CGC slab that you love. Get it slabbed up in this crystal clear. CGC is doing a lot of cool stuff, a lot of really big stuff in the hobby. We love what they're doing. Thanks for CGC. All right, Mad Cards comes back and says, I need Colby Olson on my shoulder each time I buy. Love your realism, brother. Why does the card selling hobby hate James Wood? I hear you on his numbers. I don't know. I literally have no idea why they hate him. Keep buying James Wood. Seriously, like there's not a better buy right now than James Wood. I might just buy another James Wood on this show. Maybe that's where we go with this. Maybe like we don't find a Kobe Mayo deep dive today. We find like the fact that James Wood is one of the most underhyped and undersold players right now, probably because he runs like Giancarlo Stanton. Like who the heck knows? But anyway, we love him. He's going to be on a team that he's going to have plenty of run. The Nationals are actually they're exciting to watch. I tune into quite a few Nationals games this year because I just like watching the development of this franchise's young players. CJ Abrams is a fun watch. Their Winker is finally doing some cool stuff in the majors. That's a fun watch. And adding the James Wood to the party eventually at some point in 2024 is what I'm looking forward to. And I expect my autos to move for him very well. So
Kendall, can I say something real quick? Because we talked a couple weeks
always
about with Jackson Holiday coming down, and last year there was like a time frame between spring training and before Ellie got called up that his prices dipped because everyone bought into Ellie thinking he was going to make the roster out of spring training, right? And I think that's what we're seeing with James Wood here because he had an amazing spring and he didn't get the call up. And so now we're seeing his prices dip. And like I'm trying to buy like as much as I can at this Dallas show because he's
you got to leave me
one.
You got to leave me one. I got to get one of the James Woods out here.
No.
We'll search the table together. And I'll get one. You can buy 5. That's how this works. All right.
Right.
All right. So Krim, Mad Cards adds, what price are you looking for to buy into a Wood Refractor 10 auto? But while you do that, you can just answer that in a minute. But Colby, you sent me a text earlier that I was irate about because there's 2 rookies that I like for the autos in this 24 Bowman set. Of course, we've talked about Yamamoto. I'm not currently buying the Yamamoto autos, but I think they're definitely a cool looking card. They're definitely a pretty looking card. There's a card that'll probably sell, and it could move really quickly. If you do pull it, definitely put it out on the line. But there's another guy that I like a lot. This is actually his first auto, but it's released as a secondary auto, not a rookie auto. Sorry, it is not a rookie auto like I said originally, because this guy is not in the majors yet, and actually probably has a pretty far runway.
He's 18, yeah.
He's 18 years old, but Colby was able to find a gold auto for this player that sold for 99 cents. Krim, do you have any idea who we're talking about?
No.
Well,
this is going to infuriate you when Colby talks about this.
Yeah. So I was looking at, I saw that Sebastian Walcott is his first auto only, right? So his first card was in 2023 Bowman, but the auto wasn't in there. So kind of like Brady House, who I do want to talk about as well. And I was looking at, what items were sold of Walcott on eBay, and I came across a gold auto, 99 cents. And I was like, did this thing finish at 3 a.m. and somebody sniped it? So definitely going to do a deep dive on that. But 99 cents, ridiculous.
That's crazy.
How does that happen? Like you're definitely more well versed in eBay. Like, how does that happen?
There's a couple of things that I would immediately ask of the buyer. Was this a first item they've ever sold? Was this also something that maybe it was a typo on the listing? Is there something with the card that looks incredibly wrong? Like is there a scratch on the back that's so obvious it's crazy? But some of the quick looks that I saw didn't see some of these blaring defects that we like.
It was a bid too. It wasn't a buy it now. Exactly.
So
when was this?
I think it ended fairly recently, but I will send you what Colby sent me today.
So I will say I see it on eBay, but I don't see it on Card Ladder / Market Movers.
Which
so
could
I
mean it was a fraud.
don't think, which that usually happens when it doesn't get paid for. So it probably was a mistake, and then obviously the seller just canceled it.
Okay, fair enough. I just thought that was interesting. Back to Yamamoto real quick. Are his cards actually going for $600? Like, that's crazy.
Yes,
dude. So his first card was in tribute, and like his base rookie tribute cards were selling for like $75 when it came out.
wow,
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, maybe maybe we take this time to talk about, like, maybe we're seeing the tides turn towards pitchers being investable, because maybe if we take a step back and we look at some of the last couple of pitchers that people are putting money into, we've said over the last couple of years, pitchers aren't investable, pitchers aren't investable, pitchers aren't investable. We've seen Skeens now come out as an investable type player that you could make money on when he hits the majors. Yamamoto's prices are going crazy. We've definitely made money on his MPB cards. Roki Sasaki is going to come after him, as well as a highly touted free agent that's going to come over. Roki Sasaki has MPB cards as well that we can make money on now. Are we potentially turning the tides to, even in a small way, of pitchers being investable in the card market?
That's a really good question. I don't really have an answer. I think pitchers are investable if they have enough hype, and yeah, Skeens has as much hype as about any pitching prospect since Strasburg, and that's kind of been the storyline around Skeens. And people were, for the first time, I think, like, really setting an alarm on Saturday to be like, I'm tuning in at 4:00 to watch Paul Skeens. And people that I know that don't even really care about baseball, or maybe they care about one team in baseball, we're also doing the same. So I think it did really take the MLB by storm, and people were like, it's appointment television to see Paul Skeens pitch.
Yeah, and of course the MLB is pushing Paul Skeens quite a bit. Like they're doing the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift, whatever they're doing with what's her name, from the LSU gymnast,
Livy Dunn.
And so they're clearly trying to market him in a way of like being their flagship product, which is fine. Like we're seeing Anthony Edwards become the flagship product for the NBA. He's an easy sell, and he plays like Jordan, and so obviously they're like, everything in the NBA is pushing Ant, and so everything in the MLB is pushing Skeens, and when you get views, you get card prices, and so that's just what we see from him. So, Krim, what do you got for the wood refractor?
So it looks like they've mostly been doing like 700. There is like a best offer sale, most recent, that did 650. So if you get, it depends on if you're buying on eBay, you're probably not going to get it for less than that 650 price. And then if I'm buying in person, probably the most I would pay is like 600. So
600. So that's
maybe more, considering he's probably going to be like one of the next big prospects that gets the call up. So
yeah, which I think should increase the value too when he gets called up. And there's a play here where it's kind of a swing play, and you could buy now and sell in a month and a half, 2 months.
Because we know he does have juice, because his prices did peak during spring training. So we do know people are like paying attention to him. So
cool. That's interesting. Kendall, I have some more names, not outside of Bowman 2024, that I just kind of wanted to run through and get your opinion on. I think people might find it a little interesting too.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay, well, so staying
and by the way, Fangraphs also did almost just wreck everything I had. Everything froze, and I could just hear you guys. And finally, I was able to exit out of it after like 3 minutes. So I think that's why my ads weren't working. So Fangraphs is just crazy on my computer. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so kind of just like staying on the Sebastian Walcott storyline is, that's his second, or it's not his first auto. It is his first auto, but doesn't have the little first symbol on it, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Sebastian Walcott, that's going for $100. in Bowman 2024. But you look at a prospect like Brady House, who on Just Baseball's top 100 is the number 57 overall prospect. There we go. There we go, Grim. Does he right? That's his first auto on there.
Yeah.
You can get a raw Brady House for $30. This guy has a 146 WRC plus in AA as a 21-year-old right now, 232 ISO, 22% K rate, 11% walk rate. Like that just screams MLB regular. And I think that's a steal right now. And I that's a player, if I'm buying a raw for $30 or even something that's graded for, maybe double that, I think that's a great buy to hold on to and somebody that you can kind of root for to make their debut and be a good player. If you're somebody that's just like into collecting and just having a cool card of who could be a really good player, I think Brady House is a great buy right now.
That sounds that sounds like a good idea, because when you say $30 and you're talking about a guy who's not only he's a good name, like he also has a good name. Like he's a shortstop that was drafted at a premium first round position. He's a guy that is somebody that people care about, and so he's a guy that would be an easy sell, because you're looking for the lack of barriers in a sell marker as well. Of course, you're seeing the PSA 10, the first on his Bowman cards being a bit of an issue. But if somebody really is paying attention, they're going to know that Brady House has autos, that these are his first autos. So I think, that's great. And especially when you look at, now the thing that I'm curious about is when there is a base auto of his that is achievable, why not just go for a Mojo auto that also is not a first? Krim, do you play into the fact that people don't actually know as much and they don't know that this is his first auto, and you just go for a Mojo if you're going to do it? Because then you can go really cheap and it looks pretty. So like, what's your play there? Would you pay the extra money to have the first auto even though it doesn't have first on it, or would you just pay less money and go with a Mojo?
I would still do the non-official first, because especially this early on, like he's 19. Like 21. The general he's old. I thought he was younger than that. But so what I'm trying to say is the people who are in Brady House are the people who do Bowman. Yeah. Like the general hobby aren't buying Brady House cards right now.
Yep.
And so the people who are buying know basically, oh, that's his first. So
cool. I mean, I think it's Krim, like when he debuts and people are Nationals fans or just any MLB fans are like, oh, this guy's debuting, I better get his autograph. And then they search, like, is that kind of when people realize, okay, this is the card?
Because but also on the flip side of that, like when Ellie debuted and obviously like took the world by storm, people were just buying Ellie cards. Like it wasn't just his first autos, mainly because they weren't affordable for most people.
Yep.
So they were buying his Mojo autos. They were buying his like Bowman Platinum, Bowman Sterling autos just to get one. So it's like a certain status if you reach, like it doesn't matter. But obviously Brady House isn't Ellie De La Cruz, right? So
nope. But yeah, number 57 prospect ain't bad. Yeah, I just thought that was interesting. And I'm always just looking for cards that are a little bit more affordable, because not everybody has $150 to spend on a prospect. Like it's fun when you can actually take lotto shots on a guy that's pretty damn good. There were a couple more. One that I thought was also very interesting, $30 raw for base auto, is Moises Ballesteros. He's a Cubs prospect. He's a catcher. I'm sure you guys have talked about him. He has just like a really weird profile because he's a 5'7" catcher. But his numbers insane. His numbers are insane. 160 WRC plus in AA as a 20-year-old this year. 13% K rate, 10% walk rate, and a 196 ISO. Like that profile will play. I mean, honestly, I really haven't seen video, so I can't tell you like too much. But that sounds like an Alejandro Kirk on steroids profile.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, when you said 5'7" catcher who can rake, I was like, Kirk, got it. And Kirk actually was a guy that Colby and I made money off of when Kirk was coming up, because there was a bunch of guys that were like, Kirk's not going to go anywhere. And Colby and I just believed in him. So I bought some Bowman Chrome autos of him and made about 100 plus on both of them. So there we go. All right.
And again, $30 raw. Like if you're looking for a thing, like I guess like what I'm trying to say is like for one Dylan Cruz, you can buy a lot.
Yeah, The point here is you can buy a lot for a Dylan Cruz price, and a Dylan Cruz is not a for sure hit at the major league level.
Yep.
You know, like he hasn't done well in the minor league. I mean, he's not done poorly. He hasn't like completely fallen on his face, but he hasn't taken the minor leagues by storm.
Yep.
And for an advanced college hitter, you need to see that.
Yep. So to kind of finish off my list, I have an actually expensive card that I think should go up, and somebody that has top 10, top 20 prospect hype. Lazaro Montes.
Yes.
Mariners. This guy's a beast.
Have you been listening to our show?
I have not.
All right.
The call-up guys love him. Jack McMullen has labeled him as Mini Jordan, which is pretty fun. He hits the crap out of the ball, man. He has a 157 WRC plus this year, 16% K rate, a 14% walk rate, a 225 ISO, and the batted ball data is off the charts. So definitely expensive though. Right now he's the number 91 prospect on Just Baseball. I would bet a lot of money that he finishes the year at least in the top 50, if not higher. And right now a PSA 10 auto is going for 190. So it's definitely expensive. I'm not saying otherwise, but if it's a guy that has a lot of hype and, you know, should keep climbing through the minors and get more hype as that continues. And so whenever you can have a chance to buy a guy that's like outside the top 50 and the top 100 that you think could move into the top 20, that's when people really start paying attention, and card prices usually go up. But I don't know. This could already be baked in. 190 for a base, for a PSA 10 auto is still expensive.
Yeah, we've been talking about Lazaro Montes for a couple weeks, so I'm excited that you are bringing him to the plate, because he's a guy that I'm really high on. So that's why I just like kind of lost it there for a second when you're like, oh, we're gonna pull this guy out of nowhere, and I'm like, let's go, Colby. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So love that, dude. Love that you've brought a couple of guys to the plate that we were already kind of searching on with James Wood and with Lazaro Montes. And then you're bringing Moises Ballesteros up from the grave, you know, like 5'7" catcher that you're like, I don't know if Teal is worth investing in as a catcher. And then you're going to bring in a guy that's shaped like a bowling ball to invest in.
I have one more shout real quick, Kendall.
Let's hear it.
If you're holding the bag on Zach Veen, I think right now is a really, really good time to sell. You're probably not going to make all your money back, but he is raking right now, AA, 22 years old, 191 WRC plus, and 9 stolen bases, 30% line drive rate, like really good looking profile so far this year. I'm sure that
has he fixed the hole in his swing?
He'll come down from 191 WRC plus. I mean, if you want to hold, fair enough. But I think it is a really good time to sell. And if you don't have any Veen, it actually could be a decent time to buy. But I'm just looking out for anybody that bought Veen, a couple of years ago.
Veen was
at a much higher price.
High.
And it's like, I don't even want these cards anymore. I want to go buy something else. It could be a good time to sell. A PSA 10 auto sold for 150 recently. So
okay. Krim, were you in on Veen at all?
No, that was one of the guys when I first got into, because that was around the time I first got into Bowman prospecting, and I guess I never really understood why he was expensive as he was at the time.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people viewed him as like this power hitter that's going to do work for the Rockies, but like his power numbers were just always seemed like a little underwhelming to me from like what people were saying about him.
Yep.
So I just kind of I stayed away, but I did make other bad purchases though. So
to me, he just reminded me of like a swing, like his swing path reminded me of like Cody Bellinger. And at that time, Cody Bellinger was kind of falling off. Like, obviously, we've seen the resurge of Belly, which has been beautiful to see. But Veen, when Belly was falling off, I was like, well, I'm not going to invest in another guy who's basically swinging just like he does. So anyway, that's awesome info, Colby. You're the man. We're going to jump into a little bit of deep cuts. You're more than welcome to stay on. but we're going to go away from baseball for about 10 minutes. We're going to talk about some deep cuts that we have. Feel free to bounce if you need to. This is Colby Olson, guys, from justbaseball.com. One of the smartest dudes I know in the game, definitely representing a company that I absolutely love. So, Colby, you're the man. I love the fact that I've been able to put some bids on Moises Ballestero cards tonight, and also some Brady House cards, and also some James Wood cards. So if you're hyped on a guy, I'm hyped on a guy. So love having you on the show.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it, Kendall. It was really fun coming on and getting to do some research. I really have not been doing a ton of card buying myself, and like I love doing deep dives into prospects and looking at their card prices and finding these, cheap prospects that you can flip. I think my greatest card buying story is buying Ezekiel Tovar, who's on the Rockies finally, but I bought him 3 years ago for $15 and sold him for $90 the next year. I think you can do that kind of stuff basically just by looking at Fangraphs and doing deep dives like this. So hopefully was able to give you guys some good information, and just appreciate you kind of getting me back into the hobby a little bit, because I've been a little quiet on the card buying front recently. So might have to go buy a James Wood myself.
Come on, dude. Might as well. Colby, you're the man. Feel free to stay on, but if you got to jump, we feel like you've given us more than a fair share of good information. But let's try this again to see if we can jump to an ad now that I'm not got Fangraphs going. So let's see what we can do here.
Kendall, are these people ready to start grading their sports cards? CGC Cards is the perfect place to slab your favorite sports cards. From their crystal clear holders to their affordable pricing, CGC Cards is the perfect stop for your grading needs. Go to cgccards.com to start grading today.
And then we'll roll a second one now, because that one was the one that was supposed to be like 10 minutes ago.
Lefty, we say that breaking is not necessarily a sports card strategy, but there's a lot of great things going on Whatnot other than breaking. They now have singles auctions and an improved overall experience on their platform. I want everyone to know that they can get $15 free on Whatnot by joining Whatnot through this URL. Go to whatnot.sportscardstrategy.com. That's whatnot.sportscardstrategy.com. Lefty, back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Jeez, what a good segue there. So let's go into our deep cuts here, where I'm sure there's some of you today that have been like, okay, Colby is a wealth of knowledge, but holy crap, are we swimming in the deep end here? Here is some deep cuts that we have. Football, basketball. We're not going to talk baseball today because we literally just talked about some deep cut baseball. And then we're going to bring up a soccer guy that, if Colby is going to stay on, is I did not know that this was going to be the case, but the player that I have that I'm going to bring up here in a second is he's an Atletico Madrid owned player that is in the scarf behind you. So you did not know that this was going to happen, but Atleti is definitely going to make an appearance here in the soccer deep cut. But let's start with Krim. Let's start with your football deep cuts as we prepare for a big off season and post draft. What are you doing?
All right. So the last couple weeks we've been doing this. I have started the segment with saying, other than deep cuts, with us being in football off season, I think you are safe just buying the elite QBs, Prism, Optic, Select, anything like that. And theoretically, it should get more hype going into the national. So like Burrow, Herbert, Josh Allen, Lamar, those types of guys. As far as my deep dive, I usually bring up a player. This week I'm just bringing up like a card set that I think is underrated. And I think I'm going to share my screen here. I've never done this before, so I might mess everything up.
Sure, it'll be fine.
Oh, I have to choose what tab?
Usually I just share the entire screen.
Perfect.
Just don't share Fangraphs, because then we'll just be in our bag again.
Oh, geez. Okay, there we go. Where was I?
You said that
Okay,
you
well, I
were
missed
not
one.
suggesting a specific player.
Okay, one of my links was scrolled up. Okay, that's why I was worried. All right, so this is a Chris Olave National Treasures rookie patch auto to 99. Something that some beginners might not know is that in National Treasures, this is the player football basketball. This is the best card to have. And the out of 99 is considered to be like the true. So the out of 99 will actually sell more than the out of 49 and the out of 25 because they're like purple or like pink or something like that. So this card looks better, even though there's more of them. This is usually the only thing that gets better than this is the gold and then the shield. So this is Chris Olave's.
Good to know.
You can see everything, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm hidden from y'all right now. So this is Chris Olave's best card you can get, and we can see it ended at 356. So I wanted to bring up these NT RPAs for non-QBs. So we see Chris Olave's lasted 356. This is what a Joe Burrow BGS 9 sold on
Holy
PWCC
moly.
for 25,000. Obviously, there's going to be a jump between Burrow and Chris Olave, but this is where things get interesting. So we have a 25K on his last sale for an NT RPA, also out of 99. But we see his PSA 9, his rookie Kaboom has a much less sale, right, than his NT RPA. So we're looking at like 10% less.
Okay.
Granted, this is a 9. Let's say a 10 is 5K.
This
So
would be
you're
10% of it,
right.
not 10% less.
Yes, sorry. Feel free to correct me if I ever misspeak. That's that. So it's interesting because you have Joe Burrow, and this is the case for most other quarterbacks. Their rookie Kabooms sell for a lot less than their NT RPAs, their best cards. But what I found with Olave is you see the sale 356, but if you look at his rookie Kaboom, last sale on the 10 is 560. It's actually more than his National Treasures RPA. And if you look at another popular insert, the Color Blast, also you see a higher sale on his case hits as opposed to his NT RPAs. And the same, I don't have any pulled up, but the same can be said about Garrett Wilson as well. So just to...
So you're saying that there's a lot of run there on the NT?
I think there's a lot of run on the NT because I think on the position players, running backs and receivers specifically, that for one, it's their best card. So if they start performing well, that's the card that's going to go up the most. But also, they just kind of seem to be undervalued compared to their case hits. Because in no world should an NT RPA sell less than a Kaboom. And I feel like most people would agree with me.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So that was just something interesting I found for football. And then for basketball, I asked you if this counts because Damian Lillard wouldn't really be a deep dive. I will preface this with just like football now, we're kind of in the off season, so you can kind of be safer and just buy the more proven guys. And with it being a downtime and buying, you should be able to get in at good prices. So this is the last sale on his rookie Prism PSA 10 base, 183. At the beginning of at the start of the NBA season last year, these were going for $350. So we got a nice buy time for these. And then Silver Prism, which these are a much lower pop because it's from 2012. We see $1,000 sale. This was within the last month. I know. I just don't see a date on PWCC. Regardless, though, this is down from 1,500 at the start of last season. So now's a good time to get in on those more proven guys.
Yeah, that silver is down
that
silver's down a bunch.
Yeah. And what I like about Damian Lillard is, like, obviously he's the second best player on his team, which is why I classify him as kind of a deep cut, because more people are probably just buying Giannis. But he's gonna have a moment next year where this goes up.
Yeah.
Um,
At the
like
beginning of
he's easily capable of dropping 50 in a game, and then that goes up to 1,500. Even if it doesn't get up to those prices, you have a lot of room.
September is the start of the NBA preseason, correct?
Yes, around that time.
So September last year, the silver sold for $2,250.
Okay.
So
the
you're making
1,500 was November.
yeah.
So,
So I mean, it fell from that 2,250 all season, probably because the Bucks just generally underperformed this year. But I like the Damian Lillard play, because Dame is a guy who's going to keep getting headlines.
right.
He's a guy that's going to get a 45, 50-point game, maybe 2 or 3 times next season. So he's a guy that's going to keep scoring. He's a guy that's still going to be worth it. This Bucks team is not going away. They just they had injuries at the wrong time. And Lillard probably does have a few productive years left.
Right.
And so this would be a good time to get into Lillard, whether you got into the silver at the $1,000 level, or if you got in on the base prism for about $120. The last all data for him in September of 23, that was at like $285, and it is currently at $155. So about $100 improvement there as well. So I like what you're doing there, Krim. I like what you're doing with the TRP.
And it's similar to the Kyrie Irving play we did like a month-ish ago, and that turned out well.
Yeah.
So I assume, obviously, it's probably going to work for Lillard too. He's just not playing right now, so you have to wait. But
yeah, and I would say this card's probably going to keep going down over the next couple of weeks as basketball continues to be less and less prevalent. After the NBA Finals, I would assume this card has its all-time low. And then you would super jump into Lillard and any NBA prospects at that, or any NBA cards at that point.
Yes.
So, finally, the deep cut in soccer is Samo Omaradon. This dude is a Atletico Madrid owned player, but is currently at Deportivo Alaves in 11th in La Liga on loan from Atletico. He's Spanish-Nigerian citizen, under 21 Spanish national team. He's a valued scorer this year in La Liga. He is a guy that the classic thing that we do is I talk about going to transfer market. I go to the market values. I go to biggest market value increases in the last couple of years. And I always tend to just peruse that list. But this one today blew my mind because he has a current market value of $40 million. Okay. He was bought by Atletico Madrid last year for $400K. $400,000 purchase from Granada. He is currently worth $40 million. They loaned him out to another La Liga team, and he ended up bagging 9 goals this season on a team that it's in his first year back in La Liga, and he got them mid-table. So definitely a guy who's – oh, by the way, he's also 20 years old. He turned 20 last week. So this guy is so young. He's a Spanish national team member. Currently,
Kendall,
yes.
What's his name? Can you just repeat it?
Samo, SAMU, Samo Omaradon, OMORODION.
Omarodian.
Yeah, they say Omaradon, but yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Samo Omaradon, Spanish national under 21 team. He has 7 caps for them with 2 goals in the under 21 team, which means he'll probably be a Spanish national team. Even if he doesn't choose his Spanish nationalism, he can also choose Nigerian citizenship, and Nigerian's national team also is prevalent in the African Cup of Nations as well. So he won't necessarily, of course, it would be better for his card values for him to be a Spanish national, but they need a center forward that's a big body center forward like him. And he's he's a goal scorer, man. He's a guy that's going to put it in the back of the net. Reminds me of a really young, big body like Lukaku or Benteke or something like that. You're seeing a guy that has a lot of skill, a lot of class, but a lot of size as well. And he's putting the ball in the back of the net. And that's the most important thing. So this is a very, very deep cut. Because he's 19 years old and he's on a team, Alaves, which is 11th in first tier soccer in the Spanish national team, but he is owned by Atletico Madrid. Additionally, so you're probably asking me here, Kendall, what sports cards does he have? Does he even have any? Because sometimes with guys this young and guys that are this far away from being prevalent don't have cards. Well, the beautiful thing that I love about Spanish football is they do mega cracks often. So we have seen mega cracks not always be the most investable cards, but it is an opportunity to make money. Do not go into this adrenaline chrome. Don't do that one. But the Panini, not Panini, the mega cracks cards are able to be sold. And when you're buying them at $5 and you're grading them, this guy could end up being $100 million striker. And his mega cracks cards are going to be the first card that is out there. So it's not him in his Atletico Madrid jersey. It's him in his Alaves jersey. But this will be the mega cracks is what I would assume. So if you guys are willing to go for a deep play, a $3.23 mega crack league grade and flip it in a couple of transfer windows on a $40 million current striker that's 19 years old, that's going to be on the Spanish national team. There's a lot of good things, a lot of potential selling markers for a guy like this. So Samo Omaradon.
It also looks like he's going to be in select, just based off that first.
Yeah,
listing.
based off this, he is going to be in select, which will be good for him. Plus, we also found out this week, additional soccer news, that Fanatics did pick up the Premier League license. That is going to be huge for what it means for Topps to produce a nice Premier League set that's actually really been needed for a while. It's not going to come in these cello packs from Panini anymore. You're going to have an actual licensed, good-looking Premier League set that's going to have rookies and all sorts of first guys in there as well. And it's going to be a product that we're definitely going to look forward to. So Fanatics owning the Premier League license is a big, big step for soccer cards in America specifically. And as we know, American money typically drives the card market, even with some of these cards selling overseas. So soccer is interesting. Of course, we still like to invest in big names like Messi. Messi's time is coming this year. We like to invest in guys like Pulisic, but Samu Omaradon, if you're willing to invest $10 to $15 a piece in those, you could probably buy 10 or 15 of them, grade them all, and just sit on a PSA 10 stack of them.
Kendall, do you think would you wait for the select card to come out?
I would buy both, honestly.
Okay.
So sometimes some guys are more than happy with having that mega cracks. When you look at some of the other big players, their mega crack cards are ones that are sold pretty regularly. I mean, Messi's mega cracks are going for crazy money. And of course, it's Messi, and it's 2004 mega cracks, so there wasn't a whole lot of cards back then anyway. But there are still mega cracks that are selling of different players in Europe. So
cool.
But select would also be, the select cards were going to be good too. I hate select. So as a product, I don't like it. So I'm pretty upset that he's going to be in select. I wish he was like in Merlin or something like that.
For those watching, that is Kendall's hottest take.
That is my hottest take today.
All-time hot take.
And I'm not coming off of it. I hate select cards. So that's what we have for today. Thanks, you guys, for hanging in. Any last words from either of my two dashing co-hosts?
Yeah, just thank you guys for having me on. Definitely check out Just Baseball, the call-up, if you guys are interested in more baseball prospect coverage. That's all I got to say. But, yeah, thank you guys.
Where can they find you, Colby?
You can find me. You can find me on Twitter. I'm not very active on Twitter anymore. Colby_Olsen3 over there on Twitter. But, yeah, hit me up if you guys have any questions. I'm always down for DMs. So if you like what you saw here, just hit me up with any baseball stat questions. I'm happy to help anybody.
Yeah. Colby, thanks again, man. You're a good friend of mine. We've spent some good times together at the National. Just throwing the baseball on the beach was fun.
Totally. I'll be at the National again this year too. So,
so will we.
So we'll see you there then. Sweet.
Cool. Krim, you got anything to say? I get to see your ugly face in a couple days.
You will, with my Dallas hat, not a Fort Worth hat. I don't think they make Fort Worth hats. I'll see everyone at the Dallas show, and also go to Roadshow Cards on Whatnot, because me and my brother are cooking up something over the next couple weeks. So
nice. Cool.
Stay tuned.
Well, last thing I'll say is go Thunder. We're about an hour out from the Thunder taking Game 4 from the Mavericks.
About to drop 50 on one leg.
And we will see you guys next week. And as always, we're going out dancing to the ducks, bro. We're going to be feeding some ducks as we dance out here. I'll see you guys later.
Lefty, great work on today's show. Thanks for supporting Lefty Cards, part of the nooffseason.com sports card network. Get a free 30-day trial today at nooffseason.com to check out our formula-based sports card rankings to help you make money flipping sports cards. Subscribe to Lefty Cards on YouTube and follow us on socials by visiting leftycards.com.